I rolled out of bed, feeling very unappreciative. I had to have my mini form of church. What am I saying? I have to go to work soon. And, it's very easy to become very narrow-minded and very self-absorbed to where your world starts seeming like the world. We need some form of church. That's one of my points. We need some form of church. What purpose did church serve other than the communal? Other than just getting together with your fellow man and hearing about the cosmic being that you are serving. What else was there? Rooted within it was ethical considerations, moral principles, food for thought, if it was a good sermon anyway. I mean, I'm one to talk. I used to fight tooth and nail to not fall asleep in church, but Bible class was more so the thing that helped me, the thing that kind of gave me what I'm talking about. Essentially, an oversimplification of what I'm talking about is reminder. We all need, every now and then, it should be way more every now than then. We need reminders. Because the mind, this wonderful, wonderful human mind, although it's amazing and there's a lot of capabilities to it, it also has some serious defects. Defects at the very least that are defects in this particular societal context. In this particular societal context being a circumstance at the moment, at least in first world society, where we have more luxury, more convenience, more privilege than ever before. We all live like royalty to a degree. And I would argue that we don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to thrive in it. It gets the best of us, I would argue. It leads to our destruction, I would argue. At least psychologically, and physically. Even when it doesn't physically lead to our destruction, even if you are just killing it with your healthiness, oftentimes the reasons for your healthiness still lead to a sort of spiritual deficiency because you're doing it for all the wrong reasons and you're never going to get fulfilled. People just adoring you and loving you simply for those superficial reasons. But what I'm saying is that we need reminders of what this life is, what it's all about. The more that's there. To me, the words I'm looking for right now, definitely 100% is, your world seems like the world. Your world. It can be interpreted as the world. You get very locked in. And then what's important here is to never forget that death is around the corner for each one of us now. So morbid. Oh, don't want to think about it. Yeah. But what's the benefit in thinking about it? What might it do if we remember that this is all temporary? It might adjust our behavior. It might adjust our mood. It might adjust our perspective. It might trivialize all the foolishness we see as important. And it might notarize all the things that we're looking past. What I care about very much is perspective. Perspective is essentially, I used to say perspective is happiness to me. That's my definition of that. Because happiness to me is not just a pleasurable sensation. It's not just a good mood. It's not just a stream of pleasure. That's not happiness to me. Happiness to me is perspective. And when I feel like I have perspective, there's a peace, there's a tranquility there. Even when sad things are occurring, even when disappointments are in motion, perspective, I feel, has me grounded. Just remembering that today is today and tomorrow is tomorrow. Remembering that I do have opportunity for growth, despite how crappy I might feel. But that's why, for the 100th time, maybe for the 1,000th time, I'm saying, if I believe that perspective is essentially happiness, then what I'm saying is that to have that perspective, to really have it there, you have to have that foundation, the 4 pillars of happiness. I don't believe that you can, I believe that you can be happy without sleep. I believe that you can be happy without nourishment, without physical activity and healthy conversations. But I think that you are making it incredibly hard for yourself, and people make it incredibly hard. And so for me, perspective, to have it in a way that's not so hard, is to get your sleep, to get your nourishment, to get your physical activity, and to speak to each other in a way that's thoughtful, mindful, considerate. It's to have an internal stability. That internal stability, to me, is not just going to be there because you snap your fingers. It's not a light switch. It's an achievement. We are biological sorts of, we are like biological robots in a way. We are like biological robots. Nobody wants to hear that, but we are. Because we're wired in a particular way. We require certain maintenance. We require certain forms of fuel. The only thing about us that makes us so dramatically different from pure artificial intelligence is is the randomized factor, the arbitrary factor, which is feeling, emotion, and there's a lot of involuntary subconscious responses which make it feel so organic and non-robotic, but there's still rules here. We still abide by the laws of physics. We still are at the mercy, beholden to the laws of nature. And we humans have specific rules. And we think that spits in the face of our freedom. I don't think so. I mean, that's why, what does a bodybuilder do? A bodybuilder recognizes, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z to manipulate my physique, and then they do it. That's how they succeed. They see what they need to do in order to build their muscles, to build their body. And they don't just go about it in any way they want to go about it. The best ones anyway. They see that, okay, my body responds when I do this. My body responds when I do that. Then you do it. But my point about even talking about all this, I just wanted to talk, and I know this is a little bit different from what I usually do. I just haven't had the time lately to really, the freedom lately to really make what I want to make the way I want to make it. And this is, it's forced in a way, in the sense that, like, again, I'm running against the clock once again. But I just wanted to talk to y'all, and the handful of you that wants to listen. All my point about this, my point is that we need reminders. We need to remind ourselves if we're not being reminded. And if no one's reminding you, and if you've found it difficult and recently to remind yourself, let me just tell you. Your life at this moment, the day that you're about to thrust yourself into, or that you already are submerged in, and all the antagonists within it, the hostiles, the unfriendly, insincere folks that might be there, or even yourself who might be a participant in it. Just don't forget that yesterday somebody died. And yesterday somebody died an unjust death, most certainly. Somebody starved. Somebody at a very tender age had succumbed to a terminal illness. People are suffering in unimaginable ways. That doesn't mean that your pain is not valid. That doesn't mean that you should not complain about anything, but just put it into perspective. And then from there, if that gives you any kind of energy, any kind of revitalization, try to use that surge for the better. Try to use whatever push you can get. Because I said in this other post before, motivation is hard to come by. Inspiration is hard to come by. We're all jaded. We're all hurt. We're all desensitized. I think growth is life. And one way to attain growth is by having that perspective, because that's like the starting point. It sets you in the right direction. It calibrates your compass. And I feel like what we should all be doing is trying to become better. Better what? Just for the sake of it? Just for bragging rights? No. Better so that we might have more consistent collaboration, cooperation, harmony. When you feel strong, you tend to feel happy. When you feel strong, you tend to be able to reflect upon the bad, the good, everything. You tend to feel more comfortable in the uncomfortable. Growth leads to strength, but paradoxically, you sort of need to find strength to get to growth. I'm sure you just heard that. I apologize. I do look at those kinds of people with those cars, and it's like 6 a.m. right now, and this gentleman has to roar his vehicle like that. And that's where he finds his fucking happiness, I guess. But my point is, my point. Let's be better so that we can have a better life. And let's just try to remember as much as we can. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. No editing. Love y'all.